broadcasting live out of a basement in Appleton, Wisconsin. You're tuned into Fox Cities Core on WCZR Code Zero Radio. We're the show that gives you an opportunity to call in and be a part of the show. Our call-in line is 920-358-0795. Core. We have a special co-host today. His name is Marty Meatman Sosnowski. He's got a story slam today up in Green Bay. Marty, how are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome, and I'm so glad to be back here on Code Zero Radio.
It's really good to have you back. You were on a couple months ago.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. And since then, you've done a couple story slams. You've got one going on tonight up in Green Bay at the Cheesecake Heaven.
I do.
It's the theme today is a prized possession. But if people haven't seen the story slam, you want to tell us a little bit about what it is?
Sure. I pick a theme once a month. We all gather together as a community of storytellers. It's just people from our community. Anyone who wants to show up, it's a free show. Just come. If you want to, I ask people to prepare a 5 to 10 minute true story about their life based on the theme, which a prized possession can be anything. It can be just a memory as your prized possession. So I try to make my themes wide open for anyone to come in. This is not about being a professional. This is just coming and telling true stories about your life.
And you're not going to put people on the spot if they don't want to tell a story.
Well, I might, but I might put a little pressure on. But no, that's absolutely not true. And it's so much fun if you just want to come and hear what people consider their prized possessions in our community. Just come and listen to the stories. It's a free show. The Cheesecake Heaven has great food, reasonable prices, great drinks. You can't beat this.
I suggest people check it out. I was able to make one, and then it seems like every time you do it once a month, so you almost have to plan. Typically, it's like in the middle of the month.
Third weekend of the month, every month. We run from September through May, so we have this month's show, April and May, and then we're off till September next year.
So definitely running out of time to check it out until September.
You better get down. You want to win the Who's Number One trophy.
My next guest has been involved in the Fox Cities music scene since the late 90s. He's been in multiple projects spanning punk and hip-hop. He recently joined the band The Last Sons of Krypton. Their latest release is called Metropolis. I'd like to welcome Ryan Lottman to Fox Cities Core. Ryan, how are you?
What up?
So this is actually a really good show. I feel that you and Marty are going to have some good bounces as far as questions and conversation. So, Last Sons of Krypton, How did you get involved in fronting that band? You were obviously a fan. Maybe if you can tell us a little bit about the first time you heard the band. And
Okay. The first time I heard it was there was this Erosion Records. They put out a local compilation of all like Wisconsin bands. I think maybe some Minnesota, Duluth type bands, whatever. But yeah, it was one of the songs on there. You know, Sunday Flood was on there, Mr. Dunbar, Kabuki Men, Millipede Burger. Just a bunch of crazy acts on there, and they had a live version from the Concert Cafe, I believe it was live, and it's their song "I Want." It was like one of those like punk songs that start out like a doo-wop song, and you started to slow dance, the typical riff that they have, but and I was like, this rules, and I'm in 8th grade at the time, so that's like 95, 96, and and then all of a sudden, fast forward to about 2 years ago, I started talking with Brad X. Brady's in the Onions too. Basically, the Onions are just a big switcheroo of Last Sons, but I was just talking to him, and actually that October, that Halloween show with Sloppy Seconds was the first time I met him, and I just got pissed drunk off my ass, and he's like, even though this guy makes like some hip hop stuff, like I get it. I get what he's going for. And then I guess then they put me on one of their shows to open at Jamrock, and it was the Onions at the time, because Last Sons of Krypton they weren't doing stuff. for a few years, I believe. And then I got up on set and I did a G.G. Allin cover and an early Beastie Boys cover. And they're like, yeah, this guy rules. And immediately was like, all right. They talked to Ozzy, who's the bass player, get him back on board. And yeah, Ryan, this crazy guy that does rap music, he wants to do some, they're like, he does antics on stage. He does these crazy antics. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I'm going to do them at the Last Sons shows yet. I'm more about David Lee Rothin' it up, Iggy popping with the microphone, you know. I don't have time to be, you know, stapling shit to myself and stuff. Stapling stuff to myself.
I gotta say, though, I gotta admit, though, I'm impressed. Just I'm the first person that I've ever heard of that does G.G. Allin covers. I love G.G. Allin.
Yeah, heck yeah. I got his, on top of my foot here, I got a stick and poke of the grave, the G.G. Live Fast Die. Oh, I'm a diehard G.G. fan.
Yeah.
Actually,
did you get to see him live?
No, I didn't get to. I'm only 41, so I mean, I would have been like 12.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess that Marty saw him live.
Oh God, it's insane. I got to go to a sound check for G.G. Allin, which was it was more insane than the show was.
I'm such a fan, right? So when I was doing this thing called The Gospel, it's like a burlesque sideshow mixed with noise and hip hop, and I weaseled my way into opening for the Murder Junkies. Now, granted, it's just Dino and Merle and the other guys. I think P.P. Duvet was the singer. And, you know, they're kind of like, hip-hop, what is this, you know? We're the first and so far the only hip-hop act to open for the Murder Junkies. And then the second time around, we actually got asked, like, back. It was in Ohio. Like, hey, come to the Ohio show, and you guys, we want you to open. And I was like, cool. Yeah, I got Merle on a track too on my last album, the last gospel album I wasn't feeling rap, so I was like, I can't. What am I gonna do with all this empty space? So
awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like how you caught yourself on the SH word with the two F bombs. You just dropped freely.
I'm sorry. I'm trying not to. I'm sorry.
So that's cool. So G.G. Allin, like, I mean, if you had to name some of your influences, who are some of your major influences, like top three?
Ice-T. He's intelligent. One of the few, I would say, rappers that are legitimately can talk like anti-government stuff, knows his stuff, served in the army. He's also a cool actor. My dog's middle name is Tutuola. I love Ice-T, and I've always loved Ice-T. He's actually the reason why I found punk. I found through Jello Biafra's spoken word on the Body Count record. And then I'm like, well, what's this all about? Number two, somewhat G.G. Allin. I mean, I don't live my life by his code of words, you know. I'm not out there, you know. But yeah, just definitely as a performer, as a case study of a human being. Three, I don't know. Musically, when I heard this Mr. Dibbs Turntable Hardcore Volume 2 mixtape that he made, and I was just figuring out like how to work drum machines and stuff. I heard that, and the way he mixed, like, he was messing up like Pantera riffs and mixing it with just hardcore like southern beats and rap stuff. I don't know how to explain it, but it was hardcore, and he's spinning it all on the turntables. I was like, well, shoot, you know, I can probably learn how to do this. And then, you know, then it made me remember that back in the day when early hip hop was around, it was guitar based. It was, you know, they were messing up with the rock records, so it kind of got lost there in the 90s when all the sampling wars and all that stuff.
So your first band was A.W.A. And was that your first band?
I mean,
your first real band that performed.
Yeah. As a little kid, you have we're a band now. You know, we're a gang.
Well, you guys did shows. So.
Yeah. A.W.A. did shows. It was actually crazy. We all, for the most part, are still involved in music. Dave Kiley He's in, I don't know if Shallows is still around, but he used to yell for those guys.
He's in Leading the Blind now, I believe.
Yeah. And then he was in Sunday Flood too. Super hometown heroes of ours, and he got to be in them. That's so cool for him. He's got a poppin' YouTube channel too. Go check that out. Champion the DJK or something. Talks about his little cars. It's pretty cool.
Interesting. I didn't know he was into cars.
Oh yeah, not like cars, like miniature, like race box cars or whatever they call matchbox cars. I don't know. It's nerd stuff for him, but I'm happy for him. The bass player was Adam Zelmer. He's a crazy metalhead. He was in Onus. I forget what the name of his band, but he went to like a European tour. He plays guitar for this like super well-known metal band. I'm just spacing on the name.
Oh, is it like Droids Attack or something?
No. It's I don't know what it's called. I'd have to look it up. Maybe I'll look it up in the little break time. But
so how many years was A.W.A active?
it seems like a long time when you're a teenager, but probably like 2, 3. We changed our name to Toxic Shock because the W in A.W.A was, now I can see why it was, because it's an offshoot of a racist word. But they were at school, they were like, you can't put that there, that's a racist word. We were attacking the wannabes, whatever. But yeah, so we changed our name to Toxic Shock because of we were still offensive. And then we found it out. It just sounds like a cool thing. Like, it's not a cool thing, but it sounds cool. Toxic Shock.
What was the music genre that Toxic Shock was playing?
I would say I tried to be more like Screech and Weasel pop punky with it. But we were all metalheads. Thrasher. I like thrash metal.
It's interesting, like hearing your influences, the top 3, and it sounds. I mean, the genre is way different than it sounds like. Toxic Shock.
Yeah. Well, I mean, American punk and American hip hop came from the same place at the same time. So I mean, it's not that much different. It's just the instruments that they had to work with. You know, the hip hop kids only had their parents' turntables and their mouth to beatbox and whatever, and then the punkers get like a crappy guitar and just bang away, learn a 5-chord. But yeah, I guess A.W.A and Toxic Shock were kind of, I don't like that early Offspring stuff where it's kind of like a little faster than punk, a little, not so poppy. But yeah.
So then after that band broke up, did you start kind of your hip hop project at that point?
No, I pouted around and did drugs for a while. Is when I got when I discovered, oh wow, all this stuff. Take a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But anyways, and then I did the DPNs with the drummer for Toxic Shock. He split up, and yeah, then we did that for a couple years, maybe 4 years. And yeah, then around like 21, I would, I was having fun. I'd freestyle around the keg, at parties, and people would come and go, oh, I could do that. It was right when Eminem was like big and popping. And 8 Miles Out, everybody thought they were a rapper. And I would just shut fools down. And I was being goofy, rap about cheese, rap about burgers, all the typical things about who I do, what I do, how cool I am, all the typical rap, archetypes, whatever. Yeah, and then I got myself my first drum machine, my Zoom Rhythm Track 123, I believe it is, in that 90s. When everything was like that plastic that you could see through, I guess blue, and you could see through it. Whoa, the electronics, whoa, it's from outer space because you can see through it. It's the 90s.
That's cool when they started putting stuff in that see-through plastic.
I guess, but they kind of went overboard. Remember those Macintoshes that were like that? Like you could get them in the different colors and you could see through them, and I don't know. It's totally 90s.
So So that got you into sort of making your own beats and kind of doing the foundation of what ended up leading you to the next chapter, which was LoDoubleT and the gospel.
Yeah. Then I figured out, I sold all my CDs and I bought a computer, my first computer. And this is, I'm probably around like 24 at the time. And then I started working with sample manipulation, you know, the digital program, stuff like that. And then, I did, you know, some kind of embarrassing type early hip hop stuff. I'll probably never release it. It's just too goofy. But then once I really got good at it, like about a year later is when and then I met all these guys from Oshkosh that like immediately took me. It's like a cool kids club, like with anything. You kind of, if they don't like you right off the bat, you're not going to get shows, or you'll get opening spots the whole time and get laughed at. And, you know, not to say that we're jerks, but it was a long time. We were younger. But, so I was thankful that they actually were like, well, we like punk rock too, and this guy's mixing the punk rock stuff in it, and, you know, stuff like that. So I got Daryl Pounds and then JB Ill, who me and those two guys make up World Class Grilling Crew. It's our little like Beastie Boys type group. We rap about food a lot. And so when I met all those guys, I started understanding like how DJing, like the stuff that I didn't understand. Like, I didn't know there were breakbeat records. When I discovered that there were like records with all the samples that you could just use and then jump to, I'm like, that's cheating. Like, I thought you guys were digging and digging and digging. You found that one little bleep on friggin' Steve Miller, and then you use that. But nope, it's already on the breakbeat record. Somebody already compiled it for you.
Did you switch to the breakbeat records now?
No, but now that Serato's in, and I'm older, I don't want to carry all that vinyl everywhere and all that. So there's like DJ clubs you can join digitally, and then they send you the breakbeat digital files. And or you could send it back and forth, and you could make your own cues in it. So then you could send it to your buddy, and then you have the same cues. I don't know. It's a whole new world with Serato. But now we have like this, like, I think it's like a 10 gig file of all the early breakbeat records. But I mean, back in the day when before Serato, like, I have buddies that sit there and they have a breakbeat record memorized. Like, they'll go beep, fresh, you know, and they'll be back and forth. And it's like, you nerds, you sat here and you memorized that. Like, I get memorizing like your favorite record, like, I don't know, Snoop Doggy Dogg Doggy Style. I could do that one front to back. You know, I get memorizing that. But a breakbeat record? That's weird.
It's funny listening to you talk about like the easiness, because it reminds me of people like with tube amps versus solid state. Mm-hmm. Oh, the solid state stuff's so much easier. You have all the effects in there, and it's lighter.
Yeah.
And Marty, you back when you were filming punk rock shows and everything else, same thing with photography. That's changed quite a bit.
Absolutely. I can't, it's really even hard for me to imagine the changes that I've seen in my life. And even just with music, like you were talking about the different combinations of music. I remember the very first time I was fortunate enough to see metal and punk put together in a show. And my friends and I were like, what are they doing? It was Motorhead, Trouble, Die Kreutzen, and the Krusties. And those nice. 4 bands, they put them together at a roller rink down in Milwaukee. And we just went, what is... we had never seen anything like that. And even Lemmy was like, nobody understood what was going on. And it was so odd because it was the two crowds they did Trouble played, and then Die Kreutzen played, and then the Krusties played, and Motorhead, and the two crowds would just move in and out of the shows. And it was crazy to see that, but it was that way with film too. I could have never imagined that it would get to where it's at right now.
Yeah, and you're kind of stuck in the, do I change with the times or stick with what like I'm comfortable with and what I know and all that.
That's what's funny about the newest Last Sons CD. It's actually Brad really likes his analog stuff, And so we recorded that alive. Basically, it's a live take of a practice session, and we did each song twice, and then he picked the best ones, and it's all recorded on a 4-track. I think it's a Tascam, but yeah, a little crappy cassette. You know, you could hear the pops do the. Boop, boop. You'd stop the tape. It's on the CD.
Talking about like how you got into hip hop and rap, but you ended up eventually doing recordings, and you put out quite a lot of material under LoDoubleT and gospel.
Yeah, LoDoubleT is my hip hop name, whatever, because Lottman. And it's like I said, Snoop Dogg. So he says D-O-double-G, and I just said LoDoubleT once. But yes, if I could go back, I'd be named something cool like Crunchwrap Supreme or something. I don't know, something better. But yeah. Also, I wanted to say, when you asked about influence of rap was when I was like 8 and I got Anthrax, I'm the Man, and it's a rap song that they did, kind of the style of BC Boys, and I was like blown away as a little kid. I'm like, this is cool. Okay, so Anthrax is out of the top 4 of the big 4 metal guys. Anthrax are my favorite, and except for the John Bush era. But yeah, it's so that really, like, both worlds collided for me early, because I had an older brother. He's like 10 years older than me, and so I was stealing his cassettes and listening to Slayer and stuff at an early age. So I was already a metalhead at that time.
It's funny too, because you mentioned that particular song and coming from the metal world at that time, I was like in my 20s, and I can remember we just sat there and went, "What are people doing? They're gonna ruin our heavy metal with this stuff. What's going on?" Yeah. And then years later, finally saw the genius behind it all. You know,
it was also the B-sides of that are the Black Sabbath covers. So that was my first experience of being like, whoa. Like, I knew Ozzy at the time, but not Black Sabbath. That blew my mind too. But yeah, anyways, I did put out a lot. I don't even know how many records I put out as LoDoubleT, as the gospel. The last, because there's different ones too that aren't hip hop. There's like the noise, straight up noise stuff that we did, and then a couple of weird projects where it's like, I don't know how to explain it, just goofing around, I guess, in the studio. We did a Christmas covers record. That was pretty fun. We got all lit up and just sang the karaoke and recorded it. I guess the last one was the Bodega, the playoff of that Screeching Weasel cover. Yeah, it turned out I wasn't feeling making rap music. I just didn't want to do the rapidy rap. I was going through a different time in my life. I didn't really want to like get too personal and mean, because I was writing a lot of that stuff at the time. And so I got a bunch of friends and stuff to do like spoken word over it. And with Serato, we could do spoken word, and then you can manipulate it like vinyl. So it's a hip hop and a beats record, but it's a concept record about losing your mind and dealing with stuff like that. Losing your dog too.
Well,
yeah.
And the LoDoubleT shows are always fun. Like, you did I'd say controversy was something that you definitely didn't shy away from. With that project. I mean, lots of like Satan references and a lot of, ripping up Bibles and stuff like that. And not only that, but there was kind of the shock thing too. Like, you were having people come up and staple dollars and stuff.
You did, right? You got to staple me once, sir.
Yeah, I did.
One of you.
I stapled you, and Tom did too.
Yeah, that was awesome.
But so you were doing stuff like that, and I think some people didn't know how to take that, especially when they were doing the mixing. Like, Pudge played with you down in Fond du Lac, and I remember just somebody sitting at the bar like. But I mean, did you run into that a lot when you were playing with that project, to where people just didn't know how to take it in, and how to, like, what's this guy doing? He's crazy.
Yeah, we got some of that. I mean, I like all kinds of stuff. So I mean, And if you're open-minded with music, which every person that calls themselves an artist just has to be open to all different kinds of art. Because how are you going to learn what's new? How are you going to learn maybe you'll find something out there, whatever. It's like digging through crates. You don't know what you're going to get. You got to, you might have to sit through, a whole hour of easy listening to just get that little noise. But, yeah, so we got a lot of... There's a rap is crap, like metal. Metal especially is rap is crap. We're metal. We, beards, PBR, But I won over a lot of people, like Merle. He was surprised. Merle Allen is who I mean for you out there. He knew.
G.G. Allen's brother.
Yeah, G.G. Allen's brother. But I mean, I won over the hip hop crowd immediately, and then that's the same thing too, because there's a lot of people that are rappers, and they're out there for what I say the wrong reasons, rapping over their vocals on their beats, stuff like that, and thinking they're the next big thing, thinking they're a star, and not taking it. They're a hobbyist. They're not a legit musician artist that'll stick with whatever comes your way. Like, they might be popping for, they might have one good single and all their friends like it, and you see them come and go. And a lot of those guys were like, what is it? It's not a metal show. It's not a punk show. They'd see me with my, my punk vest or whatever, or just however I look. And which frankly was ahead of its time. You look at like some of the styles of the people now, the new generation, like Ghostmane and those Suicide Boys and stuff like that. Like, 10 years before that, that's when I was getting booed off stage by the hip hoppers. I think that's crazy. Not to toot my own horn, but toot toot. I don't care. I know. But yeah, and then like I said, it got towards the end. We toured with the gospel. And the guy, do you want to explain what the gospel was, or?
It was you and your wife at the time.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like we talked about. It was kind of like a carnival.
Yeah.
Just burlesque. Is that a good thing? A good word to use? It was fun. Like I enjoyed seeing the gospel, but it was also, if you weren't ready for it, and you didn't really kind of open your mind to seeing something you might like have, maybe you're super religious or you come from a super religious family or something, and all of a sudden some of the stuff you're doing during the shows.
I felt like I corrupted these poor Pudge boys. Like, I've known them forever. My first show that I ever played was at Fun Lovin', and these guys played Mr. Dunbar, Turtlehead. That was the lineup. And then we weaseled our ways. We didn't know how to ask for shows, so we're like, hey, can we get on that show? And they just put us on. The other bands didn't know. It's funny.
That's how things worked.
Yeah. But I knew they were good, well-rounded. You could, I'm a little rough around the edges, so I could tell these guys were from a good home and good, good kids, good fellas. And man, I'm like, okay, we'll play a show with you. Immediately, boobs coming out and blood coming and like the Bible burning and stuff. And just the subject matter of a lot of the songs too is pretty whatever. But yeah, I always felt you gotta be prepared for it. And I think when we changed over to the gospel with the cymbal, I think people were like, okay, is it gonna be a metal band? Is it gonna be whatever? But they knew the angle we were coming from. But yeah, we did a bunch of tours with that. 4 or 5 tours. I don't know. The last one was just cripes.
When you were doing those
nightmare
tours, you were mostly sleeping in a van or sleeping at somebody's house.
Yeah.
I mean, is that something you enjoyed doing, or was it sort of after a couple days, are you just ready to go home?
Oh, I loved it, but I stayed drunk like the whole time. I could go. I don't really drive, so whatever. I just stay drunk, and hella blunts. You know what I mean? Yeah, stuff like that. And I mean, I wasn't 40 yet. I think now at 41, sleeping in the bottom of my van, especially my van's disgusting right now too. It's like single dad van. It's gross. But no, it just doesn't sound appealing to me anymore. It sounds like a hurdy back. But I mean, you know, you just power through it and rock and roll. You know, I just wanted to rock, and I wanted to see things. I never really traveled before. You know, to me, I was small town minded, so like Chicago seemed so far away. And then once I discovered, well, it's 3 hours. Let's drive 3 hours. Could do that in a day.
As far as like financial sense, did it make sense to do those tours? Were you making money or at least coming out even?
No. I lost money, whatever. It was just for the fun of it. And you know, I you know, like the traveling stuff was pretty cool too, just to see the rest. You know, I never was at New York before. Here I am in New York burning a flag and not thinking about it. Not thinking about, oh, this is freaking 9/11 zone. That's, you know, Ryan. I didn't think it because it was just part of our act, and we didn't, you know, whatever. We got booed.
How did that open up, like, your mind as far as when you return back to this area, seeing the different scenes, and then coming back here? Would it kind of give you a little more confidence? Like, I've seen what they're doing over here, and
yeah, it was pretty cool going over there. But also adversely, when I went over there, they saw what I was doing, and then when they came back around on tour, people had the Christmas tree lights wrapped around them. People had the ski masks on. One guy brought a burlesque dancer with them. They had the megaphones. You know, I'm not going to call out anybody's name, but people definitely bit my style. And that's what I'm saying with the thing of, I knew that I was ahead of my time. I knew that I was innovating and, you know, stuff like that. A visionary, if you will. But I just ripped off other people. Like, these rap people now, they're probably getting into glam, getting into, you know, T-Rex, and getting into the, you know, the Runaways and stuff. But I was already into that. So I know the progression. And Marilyn Manson and David Bowie, I know the progression of what, you know, you start out goth, and then, you know, regular metal. Then you get more goth, and then you go for the whole, like, alien space guy thing. And then you go for the pretty girl, you know, kind of like the Eurythmics, like the suit era. They're like, oh, I'm a professional now, but also I like to cross-dress. But and then you go back to, like, you kind of do, like, the flashy, like, gangster type thing. And then, yeah, back to the just plain old goth. Or like the David Lynch version of goth. You know, the subdued old goth guy. But that seems to be the progression in a lot of the bands that I'd followed, that as far as like the style boy image and stuff that I do, you know, you gotta, you know, it's not just the music side. The music was cool too, in the gospel, don't get me wrong, the LoDoubleT stuff, but it was more of the stage show and more of the pushing the boundaries. I mean, we got at the Whistle, we got the cops called on us, and they thought like that it was a real domestic abuse situation. And it was part of our act, you know, the choking and rolling around on the bed of nails. I've exposed myself a whole bunch of times all over the friggin' country, just because I rock out, whatever. I can't play in, I think that it's Columbus, Ohio. The Bossy Girls, it's like a pinup bar. They do all... you know, burlesque stuff, but it was like the last tour was pretty hard on me, and I was upset, just to say the least, and very drunk, very, very drunk. And so there's a glass of my whiskey, and I saw it, and I poured it on my chest. I'm rolling around. I got the idea, hey, let's just smash it, and then roll around in the glass. And they had to shut the bar down because they're worried about bloodborne pathogens. And then they had an EMT guy come and like take the glass and all the staples out of me. And I was just like, sorry. I thought it was a cool thing to do. Didn't hurt me. I'm not complaining. You know.
So you guys did some videos too that kind of extended your reach a little bit. Your number one was the first one I remember seeing.
Yeah.
Strictly for my ginges.
Yeah.
You did some other ones as well. Your nephew Trace, who was here last week, he helped you with some of those.
Oh, sweet.
So the music videos, is that something that you're kind of pushing to get done?
Yeah, I'd still make, even though the songs are old and stuff. And you know, the gospel is pretty much dormant. It's just me and JBL now, just me and the DJ. Still crazy, but not the same. You know, I wasn't going to get somebody to replace Mandy Savage. You know, she does her own thing too. Big ups to the Dark Arts Circus, the stuff that she does. She's top of her field and the burlesque stuff, very good. But yeah, so yeah, I don't know. I'd still do the music videos, but yeah, I don't know. It's just part of it. You know, you kind of now at this era or whatever, you gotta have that. You know, it's more about music videos now than just sound, you know, just the songs, I feel. But yeah, I loved them, and mostly all my ideas went into that. Like, I was the, whatever you call it, director and the set designer and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, the vision behind it all. I think some of them turned out okay. Some of them turned out really, really awesome. Like the #1 music video I'm very proud of, especially on a budget of like $20. I think most of that was beer too, you know? So.
Well, you also put out a vinyl. Oops.
Yep.
That I dropped.
A vinyl, he said.
A vinyl, this one.
Yeah.
There you go, which was pretty cool because there was like a cartoon kind of there.
Zach Wallenfang is the artist. Very cool guy. I got the original prints. He gave me the sketches of it too.
Send that over to Marty.
How long ago was this put out?
2 years just about now. Oh, dude, the day that I got home with the record, I came home to the empty house. I was like, yeah, I'm on vinyl. Where is everything? Yeah, it was like up and down. But yeah, and then Jared too. I mean, it is LoDoubleT, but JBL put in a lot of effort and does most of all the cuts on there. And I'm going to get that. I don't really want a neck tattoo because they never really sit right because it's weird. But I might get me tattooed on my neck. That's so ridiculous. And then they put my fat head on like the inside of the thing. Like one side has that. And then the other side is just my fat head. I don't know if you see it.
Blue vinyl too.
Yeah, they made it to match the color.
You do have a lot of tattoos already. What like pushed you over the edge to get the face tattoo?
Well, I wait my age. I wasn't gonna get it when I was like 20. I always thought they were cool. It's a nice little placement. But I did go through tumultuous times. Is that how you pronounce it? I'm a sad boy. I'm sad. But one of them is for my cousin Nick. He's on this record too. Big Nick, a.k.a. Tuna. A lot of people knew him. He passed. And then my dad passed also. So I don't have my dreads anymore. I used to have those cool, real big dreads. And my dad died of cancer, and he wanted to see me with a nice young man's haircut before he passed. So I did it. I shaved them off for him.
I did the same thing.
Yeah.
My dad, he used to, when I would get in trouble, my punishment would be my dad would shave my head. And in the 70s, you didn't want to have that happen.
Yeah.
And so as I got older, I wouldn't cut my hair. I didn't cut my hair for, I don't know what it was, 30 years. And he always just say, what? And I said, the day you die. The day you die is the day. And that's what I did.
That's awesome, yeah.
It's a great tribute, you know?
Yeah, my dad, when you were talking about prized possession, mine's right here, this belt right here, and I always wear it. It's my dad's belt. And boy, did that belt spank me, you know? I saw that belt every day when he was working. He always wore it the right side up, but it lays different that way. So I always was like, that would make a cool pentagram, or you know what I mean? And so that was like one of the things that I asked specifically for. I'm gonna take that belt, Dad. Yeah.
Was your dad pretty supportive of your music?
No, not really. He wanted me to be like a Johnny football hero. You know, he came from the South, and he was very upset when I got a swag weed felony when I was like 20 years old, and so I can't own guns. And the family had all these ancient guns that they passed down, and I'm his only son. Yeah. And so, yeah, he was bummed out. And like, I just hated it. I remember one time, not to badmouth him or anything, it's just different different kind of people, hardworking man. But yeah, he found my poems when I was like in 7th grade, and I come home and they're just tore up on my bed. Like he wanted me to play football. Yeah. And so I think that helped, because then I was like, I'm not going to live in Watertown, Wisconsin. This is a small town and it's very boring. Sorry, Watertown people, if you see this. There's nothing to do. Big ups to Mullins and big ups to the movie theater. But that's about it. And I couldn't do it. I was like, I need to go back to Appleton. Yeah. So, and then I went to punk shows and I was like, yeah, all right, this is my people.
Well, you've got a daughter. What type of music is she into?
Punk and that rap stuff, like the new rap, Triple Extension or whatever. She did show me a lot of cool stuff. She showed me Suicide Boys and Little Darky. Some of those people. It's punk. Bob Villain, it's punk music that they're making. It just happens to be rap in style. She also showed me Destroy Boys, a bunch of the Lindas. She's like her dad when it comes to that. Well, her mom was really cool too, but you know, she's like me when it comes to finding real cool music right away. Yeah, she told me about Destroy Boys like 3 years before they were on Riot Fest. I saw them last Riot Fest.
I haven't heard of any of those artists.
Well, get hip. The Lindas are like 12-year-olds, and they're I don't know if they're sisters or whatever. They're like Asian, and they're just little kids that rock. They're like the Donnas, kind of a little more lookouty-er, but yeah, a little more soft.
We are talking about the gospel, LoDoubleT, and Last Sons of Krypton, which at the top of the show we talked about how you were a fan of the band. Then all of a sudden you're fronting the band. I think that was kind of surprising. It was cool news to hear that you were all of a sudden singing for them.
Yeah, Joe from Smart Shoppers, and Reverend Norb is also in that band. Big shoes to fill, like. Because Joe was the singer that was last up for Last Sons of Krypton, and then of course Last Sons of Krypton are like they change out the bass player and then they switch some members around, and then it's Norb singing, Reverend Norb from Boris, and yeah, so I coming from now, it's been 20 years or so since I last sang in a punk band, much less tried to write punk words and the songs, actual songs, instead of stream of consciousness shit talkery. There you go, I said it again. But well, that's what rap music is. It's like stand up that rhymes, and then egotistical. But yeah, so it was big shoes to fill, and cool guys. And Reverend Norb came out to see that Onion show. I didn't know he was going to perform with them, and then so he saw my set, and then I seen him taking pictures of me, and I'm like, cool, like the 15-year-old that was bumping Saucer to Saturn. I was like, oh, cool. So and then yeah, he was like, he got the record, and then I was like, all right, well, if he doesn't think that I'm bad, I could probably do this be a punker again, or get back to my punkin' ways.
Have you had to interact with him on a creative level yet?
No.
Or is it okay? Because I'm wondering what that's like.
He did. I wanted him to do this, like a parody for one of my rap songs of what he did for the Riverdale's thing. We're gonna have fun tonight, and he does the call-in thing, and he's like, from Dee Dee to Mira, from Sid to Nancy. I wanted him to do one that was like, from Biggie to Tupac, from Suge to Diddy, and then I would write it from Kim to Eminem, you know what I mean? Easy to Dre, like, stuff like that. So it'd be funny. And then also it shows my punk roots, and like, that I did that. I didn't get it done. I talked to him once about it a bunch of years ago. But yeah, no, I don't. And they have this one song, this old band, Suburban Mutilation, I think it's called. And then there's a song on that Last Sons wanted me to cover on there, and Norb, his brain is fantastic. He just so many words and so many hilarity little things and thoughts that he puts into that stuff. Like, I'm thankful that I just kind of was like, yeah, I'll learn it sometime, and then I just never did because it's so much. Like, yeah, man. But yeah, then they just asked me after I did that show. I think Brad had already decided at that point and just kind of wanted me to, he wanted to feed the bear a little bit there to just get it going. But yeah, the crowd really liked it. And then immediately after that, I was pretty much, I think they just asked me. They're like, hey, you're going to do this? Because they were going to have me do this, to do the Youngins. But they wanted Last Sons because it's a little more edgier and more punk. Some of their earlier stuff I won't do because it's a little, different times in the 90s and you could say different things.
Did they have most of the songs that appeared on Metropolis written when you joined?
Yeah, all of the songs on Metropolis are all their old songs that now I sing, and then I do my own little extra things in there, but maybe change a word or two.
You said that was all on a 4-track, and a lot of the songs too are under 2 minutes. Like a minute and 12, a minute 40. Like, it's just really like short songs.
Yeah. No, those are all their songs. We do have 4 new songs written that I wrote the words to, and then I just give to Brad. And then he writes the words, and he writes the songs. And then he kind of like rearranges the words or like, does the enunciation in his little demos, and then we'll bounce the ideas back and forth. And I'm keeping it in the same, I listen to their stuff, their earlier stuff, and I'm keeping it in the same theme. Like, you're not going to come into the Misfits and be like, all right, we're writing love songs. You know what I mean? All right, it's all political from here on out. The same concepts about the alienation, feeling like an outsider, sexual frustration. I have my own little nods in there that I put in there with some of the words that mean, they all mean something to me. But like, for instance, we have a song, The Thing, where it's literally, if you just read it or, if you understand it at a shallow level, it's about The Thing, the movie The Thing. But, on a deeper level, it's still, it's about me personally a little bit. But yeah, so it's, I wouldn't say that, I guess it's like sci-fi mixed with teen angst core is what I'd call the punk. I don't know.
So you've been doing work too with Jon Tyler Starr.
Yeah.
Doing DJ stuff for him. Any chance that Last Sons of Krypton would go like record with John or have John oversee a recording session?
Yeah, I have already talked about it because I want to take turds and polish them like I do with my rap. Jon Tyler Starr has always mixed down and then co-produced, put in ideas and effects and stuff. And he's always done that for my LoDoubleT and gospel records, except for the one where we did the gospel Penetrating Gaze. And that was Moody Black. Those guys are kind of blowing up now. They're opening up for a guy from Tool's other bands and stuff. But yeah, I'd already talked about having John come in. We're gonna record it in our own area. We're not gonna record it at a studio. We're gonna pick through the parts and do it like that, and then give it to somebody. I don't know. It might be Joe too. I heard that Joe Lambert, the old singer. I heard we can weasel him for some free studio time, Joe. But no, I don't know. We're all homies. So yeah. And
live shows? You got any live shows coming up?
We did have one tonight, but Brad got COVID. His wife gave him COVID, and even though he's been hanging out in the garage, and then this other guy's just being a whiner. He's just.
So originally, when you guys announced the COVID thing, you were going to play the show without him originally.
Yeah. We thought we could pull it off, but then I got my ride. My van is all messed up now, so we're down one vehicle, and they live in Manitowoc. I live in Neenah, so it's far away. And then the other guy, Jamie's being a big wuss. He's not sick. He just says he feels sick. I don't know. But he's a beast of a drummer. He's got a lot going on for him. He's getting ready for a tour with Biddy's band, Death Wish. Yeah, I guess they're doing a East Coast tour. Yeah, that's coming up. So he's been busting his butt, learning everything. He's just a beast of a man. He's a guitar player in the Youngins. Yeah. So
it sounds like you've kind of gotten into because Last Sons of Krypton is Green Bay based, aren't they?
No, Manitowoc.
Manitowoc.
Yeah.
I don't even know where Manitowoc is.
It's up and around.
You know where it is, Marty?
Like
I
an
was
hour.
just fishing there the other day.
It's like an hour and a half. You know what I just got into?
It's only 40 minutes.
I just got into magnet fishing. I'm going to go to Manitowoc and go magnet fishing.
Yeah.
That seems so cool.
Now, Marty, it might be 40 minutes, but it could be an hour and a half if you drive slower.
Well, if you have his tour van, maybe. I need the old meat wagon back.
But yeah, and what's funny about that, what you asked about Jon Tyler, is, well, the show that we were going to play, actually, I don't play with him as a DJ anymore in his band. That was a while ago, and it kind of fizzled out, whatever. It was too much work bringing my whole equipment all the time, and got exhausting, whatever. But we're all real homies. And so the show tonight was all broken up of bands that are members of the All Stars, or a Jon Tyler Starr band. So it was Nick, the bass player's his band, yeah, and he wears the gospel shirt in all of those pictures.
I didn't even notice
big
that.
ups to him, yeah, wonderful guy. And he'd call me a boob shoe. That's what he calls me. But and then Sean, the guitar player, is in Dead Ringers. So it was like those two guys, and then they asked me. I was happy. I was like all pumped to see my homies, and then that happened. But whatever. And then now the replacement band is Jon Tyler Starr band for the show. So that's pretty crazy. Yeah, yeah. Go to the show. It's at Jamrock tonight. I don't know, and listeners out there.
Marty, do you have a hard-hitting question for Ryan?
Well, it's one thing I don't understand sometimes about bands from this area is, I mean, it's got to be so hard to, I mean, the internet helps, but to make it out of this area, I'm really surprised that more bands don't spend a lot more time in Chicago, Madison, Minneapolis than they do. Is it hard to get gigs in Chicago, or?
A little bit. You just kind of got to know the right people. And, yeah, I don't know. One time I played this show where it was booked, it was in Indiana. Actually, the last official, the gospel show with all three of us. And, so we get down, it's in Indiana, and there's hardcore bands from Chicago are also playing. And then it's hip hop. And then, so we didn't know if they're going to be like, we're going to stomp you, we're hardcore. And those dudes loved me. They were blown away. And I'm like hardcore guys that are in, I don't know if they're in their 50s, but they're older. They were in legendary bands back in the 90s, the hardcore bands that you'd read about in Maximum Rock and Roll. And yeah, they just, sometimes, it'll just click like that. And they'll be like, we'll put you on a show. But then other times they're like, well, what do we care about some upper, way up there, Wisconsin cow tunes, whatever. They don't, all scenes are cliquey. And especially the bigger of a city, there's, how many turd bands that we see come and go around here. And it's just like, wow, just get these guys done and over with and on to the next thing. Honestly, so many crappy metal bands. But, yeah, so, so imagine being in Chicago and seeing how many of those that they have there. If we have that many here, they got to be, and then so why are they bothered about bands that think they could throw a stone and make something of themselves? That's why, I mean, it's the business part of the music business. Get on like Bananas or something like that, hire somebody to do that stuff for you, because it is a lot of work. And yeah, if you don't have dedication to social media presence, to like getting your name out there and all that, yeah, you could just be stuck in the mud here and trudge the Fox River forever.
Does that then how are you looking at like your future as a musician, as far as like, you know, I would like to be able to make some money at this someday or something. I mean, in my day it was a lot easier because you had 10 major labels that had all the money and nobody else did, and that's where you had to go.
Yeah.
Where now, well, I mean, it's a free for all.
It was my goal to be the first rapper that was on Fat Records. It didn't turn out. There is this band called Codefendants, and they rule. The record just came out a little while ago. But I don't really know. I'm getting older. I'm just having fun with it. I want to offend more people. I want to rock out. Some of the guys are in the band are older than me too. Yeah. So I mean, you know, some of them might not want to tour because of their, you know, their comfort level and all that. But I'm trying. I would like to go on a tour with Last Sons of Krypton, rock some wigs off, you know. But no, I'm mostly as far as making money. I'm just more worried on my pornography career to get me the money. It's not even a joke. Like, I know you think it's a joke. It's not a joke. Sexy Dahmer, y'all.
So where can people go to find out more about you, Ryan, besides Sexy Dahmer?
xvideos.com. No, jointhegospel.com is it's, you know, www.jointhegospel.com. It'll take you right to there. I can tell
you're older because you said the www.
I know. Nope, you don't have to do that anymore. That's so weird. Or the HTTP, all that with slashes. Man, it's a lot of work. My mom still does it. It's painful to watch her tick, 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 tick on the internet. It takes, you know, dominoes.com. It took her like 2 hours.
Easy now on the old guys.
No, I know. It's my mom. I could poke fun. But, no, so jointhegospel.com and then LoDoubleT.com. And that's LoDoublet.com. And then
here's the record right there.
And then Last Sons of Krypton. There's no spaces in there. .bandcamp.com. And that'll take you to all that. So also, if you want to get this record right here, just go into any of the local record shops and be like, what up? You got that crazy white guy rapper dude from around here. And they'll give it to you for free. It also has a free digital download of my discography in there because I'm not making money off of this ever. Are you kidding me? This is, you know, you could buy it. I mean, you could buy it. You go to a show and you buy one for $10 and you get a free t-shirt. So that's pretty cool.
Ryan, thank you for joining us today at Fox City's Core. Marty, thank you for co-hosting. It was excellent seeing you again.
I'm happy
here.
to be here anytime, my friend.
Thank you for having me. Nice to meet you, man.
To meet you.
Heck yeah.
All right, you've been watching Fox City's Core on WCZR Code Zero Radio.